Guys, how's it going? Masterbucks here, and welcome to my updated Champions League predictions. Yes, let's get the meme out the way. Let's just get it out the way. Of course, I gave my knockout stage predictions around about a month or so ago. Again, a really pretty damn long time ago. A lot can change in that time, in which I made my predictions for the entire knockout stage. From the quarterfinals all the way to the final, because unlike in previous years, once we get to it, the draw, we know exactly who's going to go through, who's going to be facing who to get to the final. I gave my predictions for the quarters and of course the semis and the final itself. I came up with an overall winner of the Champions League, and let's just say it didn't quite come off. Fucking Man City. How the fuck do you consistently just shit yourselves? Like, how did they not get through? Like, I'm not mad or anything. I'm bewildered that I don't know how fucking Man City didn't get through. Bloody choke out. You know, absolute choke artist. I want to talk and I want to give my predictions for the semi-finals now that we know who's in it. But let's just recap the quarterfinals. And while I'm on it, let's just start with it. Man City, Tottenham. How in the hell did Manchester City not get through to the semi? How in the fuck has Tottenham made it this far? Now, I'm not talking about the first leg, because the first leg is fine. You know what? They got it done, Tottenham. They got their 1-0 win, and VAR helped them in the first leg, Manchester City. They gave them a penalty, which is a little contentious, and Aguero just couldn't convert. Fair play to Tottenham. 1-0 wins, perfectly deserved. But in that second leg, Tottenham were far from their best, and Man City were bloody about as dominant as you could be. About as close to saying it was almost a whitewash, a one-sided game. Yet it ended 4-3, and Tottenham go through on away goals. I'm staggered by how this has happened, because Man City were all over Tottenham, and yet somehow managed they conceded 3, and all of them were due to some just shit that you couldn't foresee. First off, we'll talk about the 2 goals that Tottenham got, of course, courtesy of Aymeric Laporte, who I'm going to say, despite the absolute disastrous second leg that he had, he has been their best centre-back, Manchester City, all season long. I think I saw a stat that he had only conceded 1 goal due to an error in his last 50 games or something. Now he goes and commits 2 in 1 game. All of which were punished by Sonaldo, who was by far the best player in that game for Tottenham, and at times I thought the only player for Tottenham, because everyone else seemed like a passenger. They were barely doing anything, barely contributing, and yet somehow, they've come up with it. The only other goal that they picked up was, of course, Fernando Llorente, who everyone's saying, was it a handball, was it not? Some saying it didn't even hit his hands. Those people, I say, fuck off and go to Specsavers. It very clearly hits his forearm, which is in front of his torso, so it would have gone on to have hit his body anyway. And with the new UEFA rules anyway coming in next season regarding handballs and stuff like that in the box, if the arm is touching the torso, then it won't count as a handball. So next season, you wouldn't see that given as a handball. I suppose, fair enough. You don't want to see something like that chalked off, even though it is such a massively important goal. But I can somewhat agree with the goal being given, despite the fact it has very clearly come off of his arm. But I don't know. How did Tottenham manage to fucking get through this? Well, they are going to go on and face Ajax after they staggeringly came back and completely outdid Juventus in their own stadium. What an amazing second leg they had. And I'm so upset that Ajax is going to end up pretty much being broken up at the end of this season. It's such a shame. It's such a tragedy to see this incredibly great young side be broken up like this. Obviously, Frankie de Jong is going to be going to Barcelona. Delight maybe might also be going to Barcelona, as he'll be going to some massive club, I am sure. And then you've also got other great names like Donny van der Beek. You've got David Neres as well, and just tons of other incredible young talent, incredible young players in that team. I just feel it's such a disaster. It's so awful to see this incredible team broken up. What if they stuck together for like a good 4 or 5 years? Imagine what they could accomplish. You know, I'm going to just say this now, okay? There is talks that Delit is going to go to Barcelona. I just hope Barcelona just rounds them all up. They don't have any need for like David Neres or maybe another centre midfielder like Van der Beek, although he's going to be quite decent. But like, look, if you're going to take all these players away from Ajax, I just hope that they all end up in at least somewhere else, so they all stay together, but whatever. They did manage to get past Juventus. Again, I did not back Ajax. I have not backed Ajax the entirety of these Champions League predictions, despite saying in the round of 16 prediction video where I completely backed them, except I didn't actually pick them to get the win against Real Madrid. This entire time, I have not given Ajax anything. Will I in the semis against Tottenham? We'll find out. The other games, of course, Manchester United, Barcelona. I predicted an upset pretty much off the back of not going with Ajax beating Real Madrid, despite the fact I thought it was quite possible. I felt like I owed myself and you guys a shock prediction to try to make up for it. Went with Manchester United over Barcelona instead of Ajax for Juve. I just didn't see that one happening, but I could have maybe seen Manchester United getting it done. But no, that's, again, it seems like every time I predict a team that is doing well to go on and continue their impressive form, they end up just completely bottling it. I did it with, let's see, I think it was, who just missed out in the group stage? No, I think I remember. I think it was in the round of 16 prediction. I said that Borussia Dortmund was going to beat Tottenham because Dortmund was on absolutely incredible form and was doing bits in the Bundesliga. The second I predicted them to beat Tottenham, they completely shit themselves. And the same now has happened with Manchester United. When I said that they would potentially beat Barcelona, they were pretty much almost at the peak of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's incredible run and their little honeymoon period. Now that's over. Literally the second I predicted them to get a win against Barca, they've lost a bunch of their last couple of games, and United just have not been themselves. They've reverted back to their incredibly woeful form that they were at the beginning of the season. And Barcelona, I got to be honest, I know that they have been a bit flimsy in the Champions League knockout stage in the last couple of years, but goddamn, they look strong. And Messi is just on a new one. With Ronaldo out of the Champions League now, I literally can't see any way that we could see anyone else but Messi win a Ballon d'Or this year. I'm serious. I think the only real possibility is if Liverpool win the Premier League, they win the Champions League. They're not really in any other cup competitions. Virgil van Dijk is obviously who I'm speaking of here. I know that the other Netherlands, they are in the Netherlands are in the UEFA Nations League, although that's pretty much just a glorified friendly tournament. I know it wouldn't really mean much, but at least it would be something. Maybe Van Dijk could potentially steal the Ballon d'Or off of Messi, but aside from that, I don't know who else there is. But yeah, Barcelona looks well. They've gone through, and they will be facing Liverpool. I was speaking, of course, just about Van Dijk and how brilliant he's been and how brilliant Liverpool have been, pretty much seemingly dispatching Porto with ease, just like they did last season in the Champions League, getting a massive win in the second leg and just taking care of business in the first. There wasn't really super much to talk about there. We would have all been shocked had Porto somehow found a way to get past Liverpool. They could only score one past them in 180 or so minutes. Liverpool managed, 6 or 7? I think it was 6. It was just an absolute procession by Liverpool, and we were always going to see them get through. But that is my little recap of the quarterfinals now, and with the semis actually very fast approaching, we're not going to have to wait like a month or two like we've had to do every time I've made predictions for the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. You know, the semis are basically right around the corner. Let's get straight into them, and hopefully I'll try to redeem what's been a little bit of a disappointing quarterfinals prediction. The first one is Tottenham versus Ajax, and no matter what happens here, oh my God, am I so happy to see one of these two teams in the finals. I don't care if I tip Man City to beat Tottenham and Man City somehow, I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck they didn't get past Tottenham. I still think it'd be crazy to see Tottenham in a Champions League. Can you imagine it? Everyone has been giving shit to Tottenham for not winning anything. They've been a really, really good side for a really long time under Pochettino, and yet what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Just a fancy new stadium, really. That is that. If they were to finally win a title, and it was a bloody Champions League, and they did it before Arsenal, that is just unreal. There is no coming back for that for Arsenal fans. I'm telling you right now, you are completely finished as a franchise and as a fan base if Tottenham end up winning the Champions League. I know Arsenal fans are nervous as shit for this. Why wouldn't they be? Thankfully for them, they're running into Ajax. Now, Ajax, you would probably think is maybe not the stronger of the other three teams that Tottenham could have had. They could have been facing Barcelona, they could have been facing Liverpool, and I'm sure they maybe would have given a slightly tougher time to them. But Ajax are still on just another level right now. I mean, the way that they were playing against Juventus in that second half, right at the beginning of that second half, almost all the way throughout, they were phenomenal. They were moving the ball around like total football back in the golden ages of Dutch football. It was incredible. That team just has so many young starlets. I can't wait to see like the rest of their careers, because surely out of the 4, 5, 6 or so of them that, you know, we're all bigging up right now, the Frankie de Jongs, the Van der Beeks, of course, I'm trying to think, David Neres, the De Ligts and the Frankie de Jongs and all that lot. One of them is going to end up becoming just an absolute world-class star player. Even if some of the others drop off, I don't know. We've all got massive expectations for their careers, but even right now, they're just brilliant. I get the feeling that Ajax haven't exactly been at their very best in the first legs. Like, they've been I wouldn't want to say underperforming, because they've been all right, but I don't think they've played at their absolute best when they've been at home. I reckon when they're playing in that Amsterdam arena, in that Johan Cruyff arena, and they've got all their fans backing them up. They've made it all the way up to the semis. They're going to be well rested as well. We've been talking all about how the Eredivisie has actually postponed an entire round's worth of games, an entire match week, so that way Ajax are nice and well rested. Whereas Tottenham, I'm pretty sure are going to have to be coming off like a 4 or 5 day break, so they won't be as well rested. You wonder how Tottenham's going to approach that as well. I don't know. I feel like Ajax might be able to put in a somewhat stronger performance in the first leg than they have done in previous fixtures against Real Madrid and Juventus. And if we're being completely honest, Real Madrid, despite all their shortcomings this season, it's still Real Madrid. And then Juventus. Are we really going to say that Tottenham is a stronger team than those other two? I don't think so. I think if Ajax have made it this far and then they fall to Tottenham, that would be quite a shock, wouldn't it? I don't know. I think with the way Ajax have played, you wouldn't I don't know for sure if they're the favourites with the bookies, but in my eyes, I have Ajax as favourites for this game. I believe Harry Kane is also still going to be out across all of those legs, although to be fair, they've been able to manage without him so far, but I honestly think that maybe Ajax could potentially make the final. And this is the first time in my entirety of doing these predictions for this season's Champions League, I have backed Ajax. Now, lads, look at me. This is the first time I have actually gone and backed Ajax to do something in the Champions League. I didn't say you'd get through in the group stage. I didn't say you'd get through in the round of 16, even though I really did think you had a good chance against Real Madrid. Didn't back you against Juve, not against Ronaldo, not in the form that he's typically in the quarterfinals. And now that I've finally tipped you to make it into the final by beating Tottenham in the semis, if you fuck it up here, I swear to God, lads, I will be I'll be livid. I'll be absolutely furious. Hopefully they don't bottle it. Otherwise, I swear to God, there'll be problems. There will be problems. Let's move on to the other one, though. Barcelona versus Liverpool. Now, how about this for a game? This is also going to be mad. I can't wait for this one either. You got a couple of storylines as well. I mean, Barcelona going to play against Liverpool for the first time, and I feel like it's been ages. Messi's never been to Anfield, so there you go. That's a good one. And I think there's also the fact that Messi has scored against every English top 6 club except for Liverpool. I believe that is the case. He scored against Arsenal, both Manchester clubs, Chelsea and Tottenham. But I don't think he's actually put one past Liverpool. So that just begs the question, will he do it? I don't know. He'll have 2 legs to get it done, but there's also the return of Philip Coutinho. Oh boy, is that going to be a crazy one. And Luis Suarez as well. Although, I would be inclined to think that the Liverpool fans are going to be a lot more sympathetic toward Luis Suarez. I think that he spent a good couple of seasons with him. He did a lot for that club. And maybe the way that he left wasn't ideal. But I think Liverpool fans maybe have somewhat more of a fondness for Luis Suarez. And I think they'll be too occupied with trying to harass and just completely rile up Philip Coutinho. They are going to completely... I can't wait for that game at Anfield. That is going to be ridiculous. Can you imagine the scenes? I'm just imagining it like in my head. Late game situation. Barcelona attacking the Cop. Coutinho scores. Oh my God, that would be mad. Look, I normally get pretty nervous when it comes to Barcelona in recent years in this stage of the competition. But from everything that I've seen from them, from both in their own domestic league and from within the Champions League itself, I don't see... I don't know. I don't see them completely coming. I don't see them really putting in a shadow of a performance of what they're capable. Even against Liverpool, one of the best Liverpool sides, if not the best Liverpool team of all time. All I do know is Barcelona had pretty much all but secured La Liga again. They're a good couple of points up ahead, so they can rest players and make sure that they're fully fit and ready to go for the games against Liverpool. I feel like I'm just leaning more toward Barcelona for this one. So I'm going to say that the Champions League final is going to be Ajax versus Barcelona. That is going to be... there were so many potential Champions League finals that we could have had. If this is the one that we get, I'm going to be so happy. That is the Johan Cruyff final right there. But who would win between these two? You've got a stellar, incredible Ajax side going up against a Barcelona team which looks actually about as strong in the Champions League as they have for many, many years. And despite the fact Messi continues to tick on with his age and we expect him to continue to drop off eventually, it doesn't happen. He's playing about as strong as he has in years. I also don't think it's unfair to say that Ajax, you'd almost treat them as a bit of a mini Barcelona, wouldn't you? So it's like mini Barcelona versus actual Barcelona. It's almost like their youth team versus their main team, with the amount of young players that Ajax have. Although, let's not discount some of the more senior players in that team, like your Dusan Tadic's, your Ziyech isn't that old, but you got some other names in there. Daley Blind, who's just been surprisingly good and really picked up his career since going back to Ajax. And I forget his first name. I think it's Lucas Schörner or something. But the Dane that they've got in midfield, he is super underrated. I mean, he's just been incredible for them too. But look, in 90 minutes, anything could happen, yes. But I don't know. I'd still think you'd be mad to not pick Barcelona. They've got to be the favourites, and maybe not the super heavy favourites, but they would be favourites for this game, and that's kind of where I'm leaning. Just right out the gate, I'm just going to tell you that's where I'm leaning. But if we are to consider that, these two teams going at it at their very best, who would end up getting through? Would it be Ajax's best versus Barcelona's best? I still think you'd probably have to give it to the Catalans if we're being completely honest. Despite the fact that Ajax's best, we saw it against Juventus in the second half of that second leg. Oh my God, they're good. But I don't know. I don't think I could give it to them. I reckon we can make this one official. I think that Barcelona, after my updated Champions League predictions, are going to be the new champions of the Champions League. The first time they've won since 2015, and they're going to continue the La Liga dominance that we are seeing in the Champions League. So what would it be? The last three have been Real Madrid. It was Barcelona the year before that. I think it was also Real Madrid the year before Barcelona won in 2015 as well. So however many years in a row La Liga has ended up becoming Champions League champions, or a La Liga team has won the Champions League, I don't know, but I reckon that's how it's going to go down. Let me know who you think is winning these semi-finals and who's going to win in the final ultimately. Who do you think will be the Champions League champions? I'm going to go and back Barca. I feel like now that they've got past the round of 16 and the quarterfinals, they've had their struggles at those stages of the Champions League as of late. And I just feel like they had don't know what you would call them, the nerves or the jitters or whatever. But now that they've gotten past that point, I kind of do back them. Although, again, Liverpool could potentially do stuff. I'm not going to second guess myself. I've said Barcelona are going to be champions. That's what I'm sticking with until they eventually get knocked out. If that happens, then shit. We'll see how it all unfolds. Till then, my name is Masterbucks. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good one.